Welcome to test, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. So I figured I'd go back in the day to when Wesley So had just become a grandmaster. So he had just became a grandmaster about 2 months before this tournament was played. So this is the 2008 Asian Master Circuit. And so I have Wesley So versus Barlo Nadera. All my people that are coming from the Philippines, as always, I will say mabuhay to you. Kamusta na King Makai Bigan. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by, as always. Anybody else coming from around the world, I really appreciate you stopping by and taking a look at my video. But if you guys are ready to go, son, let's take a look and see what we got for this game. Let me click and then go. All right, so we got the move E4, best by test. We got the move E6, French defense, my absolute favorite. We got D4, D5, all very standard stuff up to this point. We got knight C3, and then we do see bishop B4. So we have the Winawer variation of the French defense. Definitely going to be one of the most highly played variations that you do see. You have other options as well. You got like some knights at F6. You have like, stuff like that, Rubinsteins and things like that going on. So just kind of however you want to play. We do see the move E5. And we actually see from Nadera, we do see C5, which is going to be the best way that you play it. But some of you guys might be wondering, okay, I put bishop B4 because I wanted to damage white structure, right? Well, you absolutely can do that. There is just one thing you have to be paying attention to. If you did capture here, of course, you would see white capturing back C3. You would most likely be seeing the move C5. This is a really, really nice center for white, so you want to try to kind of break it down. Also, you don't want white to kind of have a dynamic pawn by pushing the move C4 without any type of pushback. But you would be looking at the queen to G4, and this kind of brings you to the drawback of moving the bishop at all. The fact that you don't really have a good square for your knight because E5 was pushed, and you are hitting this pawn right here. So, you would probably see something like a G6. And then after pawn takes C5, knight D7, bishop B5. White they do have triple pawns, but they do have a dynamic C pawn, and they have pinned down the knight. And black has some dark square weaknesses that they have to be paying attention to. So all is not good in the neighborhood if you are black. So like I said, we saw the move E5 and then C5. We got the move A3 and then bishop goes back to A5. And it is a little bit better to go bishop takes C3 in this position here because C5 has already been played. So if instead of bishop A5, which is what we saw in the game, if you did see bishop taking C3 with check, you would be looking at pawn takes C3 and then after C4, really trying to like drive the point home that it's like, hey man, you have bad pawns over here. You would be seeing the same kind of an idea. And basically, white's bread and butter is just making sure that they attack this king side over here and make black make some concessions like king to f8, stuff like that. So you probably see queen to a5, knight to e2, and then after the move g6, now protecting that pawn, you would be looking at a4. And like I said, you have a lot of dark square weaknesses, and white does have a dark square bishop, and they have the bishop pair, so that is very important. So backing up, like I said, after we saw a3, we did see the bishop dropping back. We do see the cute move b4, and it might kind of seem like, well, wait a minute, can I just take and then take and then take? You actually can, but white has a really nice in-between move in there. So we do see pawn taking b4, knight goes to b5, and we are trying to take advantage of this nice d6 square. It is always an idea when you push and have this kind of a structure, a weak d6 point. The bishop has also moved on this off of this diagonal, so you do have a really severe hole that black actually can't really influence unless they go back, stuff like that. We do see knight going to c6. We got pawn taking b4, and then we do see bishop taking b4 with check, and then we have c3. And we kind of have something of like an Evans Gambit. If you guys played the Evans Gambit as white, you would be kind of familiar with this position right here. We do see bishop going back to e7. We got bishop to a3. And like I said, white is definitely trying to trade off this dark squared bishop from black and just basically make this DC square like something that they'll never be able to, defend ever. Something else that you're wanting to affect also, you see that black kind of is a little bit behind over here on the king side. They don't really have a good way to castle at the absolute moment. So, you are definitely taking advantage of stuff like that. We do see the move a6, bishop takes e7, knight takes e7, and then we get our desirable knight to d6 with check, and this does force black to move over. So white has accomplished their mission. You know, they have a little bit more space than black does, and they are trying to inconvenience this black king. Basically, if you play the French defense and you are able to basically get all of your pieces out and get castled and solve the problem that is this bishop right here, you should have a really great game. Like, you really shouldn't have any problems going on. But we do see bishop to d3, and this is the novelty of the game. Insanely crazy, because in French defenses, this is by far the most heavily played move. You're usually thinking of targeting a7, but of course the king hasn't castled, so that's like less of a threat. But yes, you have that. Queen goes to c7, and then we see queen to h5. Checkmate! There is checkmate here, bro. So we're hoping that black goes like this or something, and then you just get the checkmate. But we're not going to see that, bro. We do see Nadera go knight back to d8. And some of you guys might be sitting there wondering, I mean, can you just play g6, though? Right? I mean, because that, like, blocks everything. Maybe the queen could come back here, stuff like that. But, I mean, you have something like that. Or, I mean, like, you know, everything is good. The knight goes down here. Something like that, right? Like... well, if you did play g6 in this position, you would actually be getting mated really quickly. So the queen would go to h6 for check. And then you have king to g8, knight going up to e8. This is super cute because not only does it threaten the queen, you are looking at checkmate in one right here. So basically, you don't have anything you can do other than queen takes e5 with check. Which, as you guys can see, this is not a good move at all. Pawn takes, and then no matter what black does, you're going to get mated on the next move. So it just doesn't even matter, man. Yes, so like I said, we did see knight to d8, just making sure that we block that checkmate. Knight goes to e2. We got bishop to d7, castles by white. We got knight back to c8. Now the knight can no longer just live on d6. So we do see knight taking c8, rook taking c8, and we got the move f4. This is another one of the major ideas for white. I mean, you definitely want to put a rook on the f file and push f4, f5, and try to rip the position open. A lot of the times, like I was telling you guys, black has not, you know, if white is doing what they need to do for black not to castle, it's not always the end of the world if you are black, but if you can manage that, you see that this rook is opposite this king. So there's a lot of tactics that could come up. We do see queen going to b6, and this move really doesn't do anything. It just kind of gives white a tempo gain, which is rook a to b1, and you have put the queen on a square that is easily attackable, and you are in a situation where b7 is kind of hanging, so you're going to have to kind of hang around somewhere. So we do see queen going to a7. We got king over to h1. We do see the move b5. We got f5. Like I said, pushing forward with that plan. We got pawn taking f5, bishop taking f5. We got rook down to c6. We got knight to f4. And, I mean, it kind of looks like you have some situations here, right? But, I mean, you're going to be sacking the entire house, especially after moves like e6 and stuff like that. So we do see rook taking c3. We got the move e6. Bishop goes to c6. We got the rook b to e1. And, I mean, this is a very clear threat. We're like, hey, bro, I'm going to push this pawn and I'm going to fork this piece. And this piece, there's really not a whole lot that black can really do about it, though. So we do see queen taking d4. e7 is check. The king slides over to e8. And then we have a very, very comical move in this position. I want you to pause the video and see if you can guess what move Wesley So plays here. Go ahead and do so. Okay, so I think a majority of you guys, if not all of you guys, is going to say pawn takes, d8, queen or rook or something, and it's just going to like promote and just take the piece and stuff like that. But Wesley So, he probably sat there and was like, man, let me make a joke. Pawn takes d8 equals knight, check. I have no idea why you do this. I mean, it really doesn't matter because no matter what you do, I mean, black is going to take here. So I guess you're just like, hey, I'm going to just like find the funniest thing to do. So that is what we see here. Very comical. And then, of course, like I said, king takes d8. It doesn't really matter. You got queen taking f7 here. And you do have a very real threat of knight to e6 checking check and forking the king and the queen. So we do see the queen trying to back up to f6, but we see knight to e6 check anyways. And it is in this position that Nadera resigns the game. Now, I think a lot of you guys can see the heat and be like, nah, I don't want this, bro. Like, I'm good, man. But if you do not see the heat, there are a couple of options that you have in this position if you are Nadera. One of them is king to c8, and that just checkmates you immediately with queen to c7. If you want to try to resist further, the only other thing you can do is go queen takes e6, and then after the rook takes e6, I mean, you know, you're really kind of getting checkmated coming up, but maybe you can throw the bishop in the way. But after rook to d6, you guys can kind of see that you just have a little bit too much. Even if you back the rook up, bro, you're still going to be getting checked here. It's just not where you want to be at, man. So that's not even where you want to be at, like I said. So that is that game. I appreciate you guys very much. Let me talk. You know, this is a Philippines on Philippines matchup, so I'm trying to see if I can speak a little bit more Tagalog than normal. So I will say magandang umaga, magandang hapon, magandang araw, magandang gabi. Also, this position here, I've been told to say something specific, so I will say yun. Yeah, there you go. I said it, bro. So this is, you know, Wesley So, sarap. Malaka see Wesley So in this one. Let me see what else I want to say. Let me see. Mabuhay to you guys, unless I said that before. Masaya Kamakita Kang Muli. Maraming salamat the king makaibigan posto na nuno inga king my video. What else can I say that I'm thinking about that I know? Nothing is really coming to mind. I would just say, sige to you guys. Ingat lagi. I appreciate you guys very much. Paalam. And I'm going to see you guys next time.